Conor, we're here to announce a really new exciting chapter in your career. Just talk us through the decision and what we're here to talk about today.
Yeah, it's a decision to retire really. It's kind of come around and snowballed quite quickly this season. Obviously coming in the summer as player coach, had a real kind of opportunity with the coaching side of things, the road that I'm going down. And Darryl has been brilliant with me since the get-go, since coming into the club. And obviously the coaching has kind of taken over since the start of the season. It was a pathway obviously that I'm getting ready for. And yeah, here we are kind of, like I said, halfway through the season, give or take, and the playing side has kind of come to an end really.
As you say, in the summer you joined as a player coach and you've had that taste of the coaching world, as to say, under Darryl. What is it about being on the touchline and working with the lads day in, day out that you've really enjoyed and sort of promoted this decision? Yeah,
I just think, really passionate about the game, obsessed with it. Been preparing for this kind of for the last 3 or 4 years as kind of I was slowing down and not getting to the heights that I used to get to. So coaching over the last 3 or 4 years and getting prepared for that has taken over really. I think over the last couple of years that's accelerated with the coaching jobs that I've had and the coaching opportunities that I've had. And, Darryl obviously come in the summer to be a part of his coaching staff, and obviously it was going to be a 50-50 role, but how that's developed since Dean White has obviously gone to Stoke, the club asked me to step up and take more. And if you want to give something to 100%, and that's the type of guy I am, I want to do myself justice in the role and give myself the best chance of moving forward with it. Something has to give, and obviously, look, I'm at the start of my coaching process, at the end of my playing days, and it's kind of, here we are talking about the retirement side of things, but an exciting new journey, and like I said, that's well underway already. There's been, lots of training sessions and organising and planning for that, and I'm well on my way to the start of that journey and to see what's ahead.
Because as you say, you did initially join as a player coach, and it was your full intention to sort of see how it went on the pitch, and you give that a good go, and you remained really professional throughout. What was it that sort of was the deciding factor in making the decision now?
I just think, I was slowing down, not getting to the levels that I wanted to anymore. Very lucky with the opportunity and the pathway that the club had given me, and Darryl and Nirav and Maladen, they've been brilliant with myself, bringing me back and understanding the road that I was wanting to go down. I've got a huge work ethic and drive and hunger to be success at coaching and management now moving forward, and Darryl's been fantastic with me, the amount of work he's given me and the exposure and learning on the job, and obviously he's been really happy with the work I've given, because he's given me, because I've been doing it to the best of my ability, and he's given me more as time's gone on, and I feel like I've taken that kind of opportunity. It's all about opportunity really, really well, and it's like I said, move forward and accelerated quicker than maybe I expected to, but where I want to go with it, it's probably it's probably the right decision.
And of course, as you've said numerous times, a really exciting new chapter in your footballing life, but quite fitting, I imagine, that it's ended here, your playing career, and a new chapter started here, a place where you've done really well, made some great memories and inspired so many people. Is it that extra bit special knowing that you've sort of done it in the right way, you might say?
Yeah, I feel really fortunate, really, to be honest. Coming back here in the summer, I always said that I wanted to come back. Coming back as player coach. Initially, I thought the playing might be a little bit more than it was, but it's not turned out that way. And like I said, I feel really fortunate that I'm here retiring, but going into a really new, exciting role. Some players who retire, have to scour around for opportunities or breaks or opportunities, or keep playing till the bitter end because they don't know what they're going to do after football. Whereas I'm really, really fortunate. I've prepared, I've worked hard, I've put in countless hours away from playing over the last kind of 3 or 4 years, getting prepared for this opportunity. How good the club have been with me and the owners and Darryl. And I've grasped that opportunity with the future in mind, really.
Yeah, you mentioned Darryl there. How key has he been in this move, and sort of in your months already coaching at Oakwell? How have you fit into the dynamic? Have you enjoyed how you've slotted into the coaching setup we've got here currently?
Yeah, brilliant. I've been, the amount of work Darryl has given me and trusted in me. Obviously, I've had to repay that faith and do it to the best of my ability, which I feel like I have. Darryl is continuously wanting to be giving me more work. the club have obviously been happy with what I've done after Dean leaving, and wanted me to step up and do more, and I was really happy to do that. So, there's just an overall kind of sense of real fortunate, that club, how good club and Darrell have been with me. But on top of that, I've put in a lot of work and a lot of groundwork to be here now, and them trusting in the role that I'm going to go into. It doesn't come around, very often in football to go in straight away at this level. So I'm very fortunate for that. But I've worked hard at it. I'm gaining experience every single day out in the training pitch, to see how things work. I put on good sessions, not so good sessions, review it, become better every single day. And I'm a big believer on hard work. It's the same as my playing career. Hard work pays off. I'm a huge believer in that. And I'm putting in countless hours every single day to become a better coach now and for the journey ahead.
Mladen and Darrell have often spoke about your role within the coaching staff, as well as the other members of the staff, of course. But are you enjoying your role currently within the coaching setup, working, from what we can understand, working one-on-one with the players more so, and also working on the set pieces quite creatively? We've seen that statistically it's improved in that area. Is that something you found a lot of fulfilment from so far? Yeah,
it's been brilliant. I've taken a lot of work with individuals, with units, with the centre midfielders particularly, obviously with the set plays. I've learned a lot from that point of view. Darrell's obviously let me lead and take a lot of meetings. Moving forward now, there might be more work for me on the horizon in different aspects of the game. Me and Darrell will have a chat about that. But I think it was important to, from Darrell's point of view, the amount of work he's given me to develop and to learn has been brilliant. And the conversation we had from the get-go in the summer was always more on coaching, because I knew I was slowing down. I knew I wasn't getting to the level that I wanted to get to. The hours I've put in, and the opportunity, like I keep going back to, that the club and Darrell gave me is something that I'm very grateful for, but I had to grasp it and take it. And if I wasn't showing the ability to coach at the level that they wanted to, we mightn't be here now. But obviously I've shown something that Darrell and the club have been very happy with. And we've got to a stage earlier than maybe I thought, but very happy with that decision and content with that decision, where I want to go with it.
Whilst there is a very exciting new chapter on the horizon, as we've mentioned, it'll be remiss of us not to look back at the fantastic playing career you've had, spanned over many years, starting with probably you moved to England as a young kid, probably at the time.
Yeah.
Just how brave a decision was that, and looking back, how sort of it's obviously paid off, but a very risky move at that age to come over to England.
Yeah, it was obviously a lot of thanks to family and to mum and dad for letting me make that move in the first place. 16 years old, coming to England, never an easy decision. Was I going to make it? Who knows? But a lot of hard work, sacrifice. Like I keep going back to, and I tell the young lads around the building here, it takes a lot of hard work, sacrifice, hours of relentless ups and downs and challenges, and overcoming that and putting in, every single day is a chance to get better. I'm a big believer in that, and that was no different when I was that young. And it's it's how much you want it in the end. And lucky enough for myself, got that opportunity, got that little bit of luck, grabbed it with both hands, and kind of never looked back. So I'm one of the fortunate ones that made a career for myself. A lot don't. Would I've liked to have done more, of course, because that's the type of guy I am. I'm never satisfied with what I've done, but to look back and say I've had a decent career is something I'm very proud of.
Yeah, over 580 appearances you made in your career. Sunderland was the first team you joined when you came over here. You mentioned adapting to life in England as a 16-year-old, a lot to sort of contend with at the time. Do you feel that was a crucial stage of your career to build the required characteristics and strength to go forward and use in your career in other tough times?
Yeah, look, I've been, like everyone else, they've had their challenges, they've had their ups and downs, and it's how you overcome that. And I often feel like how you overcome the challenges will kind of define you. Are you going to sink, or are you going to swim, or are you going to move forward in a stronger and a better place? And lucky enough for myself, I've been one of them that's been able to kind of keep working hard, bad day, good days, keep on the same path, keep believing in the process. And it's no different now as a coach. It's work ethic, learning, reviewing, overcoming challenges, good sessions, bad sessions, and making the next one better. And it was the same when I was a player. I'll be taking that to kind of mantle through on my coaching career now, no doubt.
And after spells with Sunderland, Ipswich, a good stint with Plymouth Argyle, you came to Oakwell, signed in 2014. Still a young player. Just what's your memories of that first day back? First day here, sorry.
Yeah, very fond. So I'm smiling, probably thinking back at the moments. Obviously coming here under Danny, who signed me. club legend here, who still gets spoken highly of now and sang about in the terraces. A very special day for myself. It was an opportunity to get to League One at the time. Had an okay start, and it probably all kind of clicked and came together when I became captain of the club. And we all moved forward and went on that kind of successful journey for about 2 seasons. Some unbelievable days, some unbelievable moments that I look back on now, and the club, like I said again, gave me that opportunity to move the club forward as captain with the group that we had at the time. With the manager that we had, especially Paul Eckenbottom, who was amazing with me, made me grow as a captain and as a player. And I was probably playing, consistently really, really well for a good amount of time, over probably 18 months, 2 years, where I just took my game to a new level. And that was just like keep going back to work ethic, hard work every single day, driving people in the building, driving standards, and having that goal of always wanting to improve and get to the next level.
Looking back, you mentioned the captaincy there and how it sort of clicked for you on the pitch as well when you got that honour. Do you think that planted the seed for your leadership role, as in, now you're a coach? Do you think that sort of lit something in your brain that thought maybe this is something that I can do in the future in a different capacity? Yeah,
potentially. I think I've been very fortunate that I captained 3 clubs in my career. Plymouth when I was very young. I was only 20 when I got the armband there. Then on to Barnsley and most recently, obviously, at Derby. And I always felt like a leader was in me. And I think, when you captain a couple of clubs at a young age, Plymouth and Barnsley, you always think, right, I must be doing something right, that, managers at the time believe in me to have a young captain. And I always feel like, I was always a driver, always led by example, how I conduct myself every day as a person, as a human. A lot of people over the course of my career have come to me for, advice or troubles that they may be having. And I always feel like if people, can trust you and come to you with that kind of stuff, you must be doing something right. So I take big pride in that. And yeah, I think, if you captain, like you said, a few clubs, there must be some sort of leadership in you. And I'm a big driver. I'm a big, I demand a lot from the players now in this group. Now, I obviously have weekly meetings with the centre midfielders, and they'll tell you I'm always pushing and driving and, wanting more from them to get better relentlessly all the time. And that's a big passion of mine. So yeah, I always feel like I'm just kind of one of them that sets the example and sets the marker every day to that high standards. It's really important to me. Yeah.
We currently have a left-footed represented Ireland at the youth levels, a young captain in our midfield, of course, in Luca Connell. Do you really see a lot of yourself in him, and is that experience that you've had so beneficial for him, and the experience that you've got to sort of relate to him and how he can improve his game as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think, look, he's a young captain as well, and he's learning, and he's come to me for bits and pieces on the role and how can he improve, and he's really eager to improve himself as a player first and foremost, which is really important. And obviously, look, he's a young captain. He's gaining experience from that role every single day. He'll look back at the start of the season when he become captain to now, and I'm sure he'll tell you that he's learned a lot and the challenges that come with that. And I think he needs to kind of keep driving that standard in training and in the dressing room, and really demand from people around and push people and drive people to come better all the time. And I think that's something that he can learn and become better at. And I think when you become more comfortable in the role, that comes to you more naturally. He's still finding his way a little bit. And I think the biggest thing as a captain, in my opinion, is having the respect of your peers, having the respect of the people in the dressing room, and then it makes your job a lot easier. And I think, when that becomes natural and you can see people around you, having big respect for you, it makes your job a lot easier to maybe dig people out, maybe to drive people forward. So, like you said, he's learning every day from that point of view.
And your time at Oakwell as a player, you experienced highs, lows, and as you say, the start was pretty decent, and then we experienced a real low in terms of the start of the 2015-16 season, bottom of the league at this time of year, and then just a miraculous ending, 2 trophies, 2 Wembley visits, both captained by yourself, and 2 victories, most importantly. I know you spoke about it before, and in the summer when you came back it was discussed, but now you've come back, have those memories become stronger again, now you're in that environment again? Just talk us through what it was like to be the leader within that dressing room, to turn it around like you and the team did. Yeah,
very, very fortunate. Like, look back at how it kind of clicked and turned around, and it's hard to put one finger on it because it was kind of a freak turnaround. We had 7 or 8 months of just winning relentlessly. When you get that winning feeling and it snowballs and consistently it goes in your way a lot, it makes obviously your life a lot easier. I think we've come to the end of the season, and after winning the Johnstone's Paint Trophy final, when we got to the playoff final, everyone kind of felt like there's no way we're going to lose this. So the memories I had of them 2 Wembley wins are amazing, and obviously being captain, it makes it extra special. But you know, there was a lot of players behind me, you know, adding some magical moments on top of that. You know, obviously, you know, there were some special goals from individuals. There was some really good defensive displays from other people, and you know, it was a team collective performance. And then you had Hecky then obviously driving it. So amazing memories. You know, look back at them with huge fondness. But I want to create new ones now. That's what you know, the new journey, the new challenge. As being a coach and being a part of the coaching staff, I want to create new memories for the football club. And I want to repay the faith that they have in me as a coach now. And it was the same when they gave me the opportunity as a player, no different. So it just looks that little bit different now as me being a coach rather than a player.
And using those leadership credentials that you've developed over your career as captain and now as a coach, looking back at that time when, as you say, the wins were just snowballing and it seemed you were going into a game almost expecting to win, how did you keep a lid on that in terms of not getting too big-headed and not sort of getting complacent? As a captain, how did you sort of day-to-day drive those standards to keep everyone hungry?
I think it was just me being really kind of level-headed and the leader of the pack to say, look, on to the next game, on to the next training session. I've been one of my kind of strengths, I think, in my career, whether it's gone good, bad or indifferent, is never getting too high or low, just keep on the same path, up the next day, doing the same routine, up the next day, getting into training early to work on my game. And I think if the leader of the dressing room is showing them credentials, then the rest kind of follow, and that becomes a bit of an energy in the change room, not letting anyone get too far ahead of themselves. You know, like I said, onto the next game, onto the next day, onto the next training session, and making sure you stay consistent in what you're doing, all about the process. If you become too, you know, obsessed with the outcome, you forget a lot about the training days and what's important. I always say to the lads, the application into training is the key to any success. Every single day you've got to be on it. You can't expect to turn up here at home or away and just switch it on. It needs to be a relentless cycle every day, and then you give yourself a chance on match day to perform then. And I'm a big believer in that and a big driver of that. So it's all about the application mindsets that you set yourself as a team every day, to train right, to apply yourself right, and then on a match day you've got a little bit of a chance then of bringing it through.
And even towards your end of your time here at Oakwell, during the first stint, we had a really good start to the championship season, and then January comes about and there's all sorts of speculation as to be expected when players are playing well, as you were at the time. Just talk us through the final game, because I imagine you went into that one knowing it's probably going to be your last game. How important was it for you to, you know, I'm sure you still get stopped in the street now about that goal against Leeds in that end we can see over there. Just talk us through your emotions going into that game, and then how important it was for you to leave in the right way, as I'm sure that would have been high on your priorities. Yeah,
it was the number one priority, if I'm being honest. I knew prior to that game, there's no secret that it was going to be my last game. If I had an unbelievable move waiting for me at Aston Villa, huge football club. I could easily have gone to Hecky at the time, look, I'm not going to play, I'm just, you know, jeopardy of getting injured or whatever. And it just didn't sit right with me. I keep going back to, I've said it a few times now, the opportunity that the club gave me to get that dream move to a top club. And now, you know, if I had refused to play or, you know, pull myself out of the squad, I wouldn't be sitting here now and heading down the route that I'm going down, and the opportunity that the club have given me now for coaching. So I think conducting myself in the right way at that time has got me to this point. So yeah, I wanted to play and go out in the right way, whether that was, you know, obviously hopefully winning, but definitely going out and playing. And you obviously hope for a fairy tale ending, and it couldn't have been any better. You know, I'm probably get a bit emotional thinking about, if I'm being totally honest with you, to go out like that against Leeds, free kick, winner. Yeah, fairy tale ending really. Yeah, and how hard was it to sort of, I mean, it's sort of a daft question really, because we know how you feel about the club, but how hard was it knowing you had to leave? Of course, exciting chapter coming up at Villa, nobody can begrudge you that, but how difficult was it knowing you had to say goodbye to everyone at the club? And of course, Patrick and Gina, you've got such a close relationship with, how much did they try to keep you here? You know, because obviously you were doing really well for the club at the time. How hard was that? It was really difficult, really difficult. I had numerous chats with Patrick, really close to them. I've always said that, and Jean now obviously being here has been amazing. It was really difficult. We were going really, really well. I think we were 8th maybe in the championship at the time when I left. So I always thought, like, well, I stay another 6 months and see how we go. And then I knew another couple of players were going, and that move mightn't have been there in the summer. You just don't know how it's going to go. But you just never know what's around the corner. I had to do what I felt right. I felt like I said, conducted myself and left on a really high note. And what I've gone on to do in my career, I've been absolutely delighted with. But it always makes me think, if I had stayed, what would have happened? But I was really fortunate that I what I went on to do and at Aston Villa. So yeah, look, always the what if, but like I said, hopefully new memories now in this role.
A life-changing move to Villa, as you said, playing with amazing players and sort of playing in a high division and of course reaching the pinnacle in this country, which is the Premier League. Just how was that as an experience? Just the progression, because you've had a clear progression throughout your playing career. So was that just a natural next step for you, and did you feel sort of comfortable in that environment?
Yeah, it was difficult at the start. So we were mid-table in the Championship, big expectations, big pressures, big football club. Probably didn't realise how big the club was until I got going there. First 6 months up until the summer, struggled a bit. I think 3 or 4 games later, Barnsley come to Villa Park and slapped us 3-1. I thought, oh my God, what have I done here? And they were still flying high and going really, really well. But obviously, look, it ended up going in the right way in the end. It took me a little bit of time to settle in. Lots of big players. Playing at Villa Park in front of 45,000 every week was really new territory for me. Took me a little bit of time to get used to that, and got to the summer. Club kind of revamped themselves. Players moved on, got a bit more of a settled squad, and we just went on then from strength to strength in terms of the club. Myself as a player there, and got settled and kind of had a great kind of 4 or 5 years there after that.
Yeah, you touched on it there. Just the players that you sort of play with, of course, Jack Grealish, who's playing for England and playing for Manchester City now, working on some top managers, Steve Bruce, Dean Smith, a lot of great minds. How much have you taken from both the players and the coaches in terms of developing your game to use on the pitch and also now in your coaching role? Yeah,
massive. I think some of the players have been really fortunate to play with. Obviously, you mentioned Jack and, Ollie Watkins, John Terry was really fortunate to play with John for a season, Emi Martinez, John McGinn, a close friend of mine, so could go on and name a lot more. Really fortunate to see how they work every day. John especially, so lucky to have played with him for a season and seeing his mentality and how he conducts himself every day in the training ground. Someone who has won countless trophies in his career, come to Aston Villa, and still how he conducts himself was amazing. And kind of seeing his standards and his drive every day was something that I felt like I was doing well. But until you see someone like that, you think, there's so many more levels to this. So really lucky to have seen that firsthand and helped myself in my playing career at Villa to drive myself on to new levels, and definitely took bits from the coaches that you just mentioned at the club, and very fortunate. Then I had 1 or 2 really good managers in the latter stages of my career who I've taken a lot from. One being Steve Cooper when I went to Swansea. Still see him now as a real good mentor in terms of coaching, and what I've taken from him has been enormous. So yeah, there's been some really good players and coaches in the latter stage of my career as well.
Yeah, I was just going to come on to that actually, about the latter stage of your career, of course, on loan with Villa at Swansea, Sheffield United, and of course a permanent move to Derby, which again, big club in this area. Just sort of touch on that latter end, because I imagine at this point you've got one eye on your coaching career, so how key was it to have, as you said, Steve Cooper, back with Hecky again, Sheffield United, and just making those connections that you can use in your coaching career when you've got one eye on it?
Yeah, Steve Cooper was the big one for me, really. So when I got to Swansea, it was just as COVID was coming in, and I got to know Steve, got really closer and quickly just had this connection, and I got the opportunity to start my coaching badges. I was always one of these guys in my career. If I saw an article or if I saw an interview with a manager, I'd always write down something that I think, oh, that's really interesting, I don't want to forget that. And then got to know Steve, spent a lot of time with him because of lockdown and spending a lot of time in that 6 months in Swansea. Picked his brains on things, loved how he conducted himself around the players, loved how he got that one-to-one relationship and challenged players all the time to become better. So really picked his brains on that. Like I said, had an opportunity to start my coaching badges in lockdown, took that opportunity, and ever since then really kind of it snowballed relentlessly. Going to Sheffield United, going to Derby, doing my coaching badges on the side, obviously working at Villa with the 16s, Barnsley here with the 16s last year, and it's just been a kind of relentless cycle into where we are now, really. I think I've made I've made a lot of headway to get to here over the last 3 or 4 years, in terms of the people I've met, gone out of my way to meet people, some real knowledgeable people, to mold myself to where I am now. But it's been a really interesting journey over the last 3 or 4 years, and I want that to continue in the near future as well.
As you say, that brings us to the present day. Barnsley currently sitting in a decent position, I think we'd all say, in League One, but promotion hopes are on everyone's minds. But just how optimistic are you in terms of what is to come for the rest of the season, almost halfway through now, which seems crazy to say, but tough stage of the campaign to come now. How important is it that we sort of build some momentum, and what are your thoughts for the upcoming months?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Obviously, look, seeing it firsthand from the coaching point of view, it's interesting to see how what I think of it. But the big glaring one for me is out here, really, the home form. I think to have success and to get to where we want to go, you have to rely on good home form. Our away form seems to be taking care of itself now, and it has to continue, of course. But I think performing out here in front of the home fans, every home game, look, you're never guaranteed to win, but putting in consistent performances all the time at home in front of your fans and creating that energy and that buzz is something that is really, really important, I think, moving into the second half of the season. If we can create that, I think we give ourselves a good chance to get into where we want to go. And I think that's a big glaring one for me at the minute. I think the energy around the whole performances needs to change. The atmosphere a little bit needs to change. We as a team need to create that atmosphere and build that energy and build that intensity and build that pressure constantly in games. And hopefully then that will kind of result in good performances and good results. And I think that would be the key, really. If we can get that going, I think we'll be okay.
Of course, everyone associated with the first team wants to win on a Saturday afternoon here or whenever we play here. But for you, is it even more special knowing what this place can be like when everyone's in the right direction, the crowd are behind everyone, the team are sort of giving the crowd a reason to get behind them? Is it, when everything comes together, is it for you more special because you know how powerful that can be here?
Yeah, I think that's kind of a big frustration of mine, really, if I'm being honest. When I come out on match day on a Saturday, the buzz that I remember is just not quite there. We need to create that, and we need to create that energy and pressure on the opposition and being relentless and that intensity that I remember that the crowds here demand. And we need to bring that back, and we need to bring that energy back. And how I see Oakwell isn't quite there at the minute, but hopefully in the near future that will change. I think it wasn't too dissimilar to when I first signed as a player. That energy and that buzz wasn't there, but we created that and we maintained that. And I think that's something that we all need to do, especially out here, because that's what the fans want and demand.
You mentioned the fans to finish on. From the start of your career here to the present day, even when you weren't at the club, a large section of our fan base were really behind you and really supported your career and really wished you well. Just to finish on, how special is that connection and how close is that connection? And have you felt that throughout all your career, that there's been one constant since you've been here, that the Barnes fans have always been behind you?
Yeah, they've been amazing.